Sorry that we were a little bit late. If everyone will please stand, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. It's over here on the far wall under the clock. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You've joined us for kind of an interesting night tonight. We are actually going to be starting with a budget hearing. Madam President, if you call the meeting to order, and then we'll proceed into our budget hearing.
The budget hearing is called to order at 7:05 p.m. by me, Mrs. Adams. Let the record reflect that those present are Mrs. Gunter, Mr. Stroud, Mr. Hanger, Mr. Engel, Dr. Richards, and Dr. Hatton.
So, Madam President, not that you just got seated, but I'm going to use the screen behind you, so you might want to move. You can either move your chairs or just come out and join us in the audience. Give you a little mood lighting there. All right. So, seniors, you've joined us on a great night. I get to actually teach a lesson, so this is actually my favorite night to have seniors here. And for those of you that are parents joining us, because you got hooked into this, welcome. I'm Dr. Richards. Welcome to our board meeting. Every year we have to advertise our budget and set the school budget. And so this year we no longer have to put in the According Democrat, I'm sorry. It just goes onto our website, it goes onto the Gateway. And Gateway is a website on the state level where you can go in and see all kinds of governmental agencies and their budgets and their reports and all those sorts of things. Make sure this is on. All right. So in 2019, they redid some of our funds, and I know Ms. Reed has seen this same presentation. You can go ahead and take a nap now. It's the same. The budget changes from 2019 remain the same. It used to be called the education. It used to be called the general fund. Now it's the education fund. And they took capital projects, transportation, and bus replacement, and folded that into one account, one fund called operations. And then debt service is the money we use to pay all of our debts. It's our mortgage payment, if you will. And just kind of note that our budget is calculated on a fund year, which is a calendar year. So when we set up this budget, we have to do it January through December. However, our funds are actually spent on an academic year or the school calendar. Oh, sorry. So this is a typical tax statement that all of you, as homeowners, have seen. I'll just kind of talk about it briefly. I know that I don't want to, bore everybody. Make sure I have my laser here. But what you have here is the assessed value of a home. So in 2019 for pay 20, it was $269,700. In 2020 for pay 21, it was $281. Now notice though, if you see that total amount for the value of the property, if you come down, they're only paying taxes on $163,900 because there are so many exemptions. If you go down here, your parents or you would see their exemptions. So there's a mortgage exemption. This home has a mortgage on it. There's a base of $45,000 for a homestead. So if that's your primary house, you get $45,000 off the top. And then depending on the value for your home, there's an additional supplemental homestead exemption. And so that number grows for the value of your property. So let's say this was a $2 million property, then this exemption would actually be another well over $100,000. So that gives you your total assessed value of your home. And then these are the differing taxing agencies, and this is Morgan Township. So you got the county, you've got the library tax, schools, there's a special tax, and then the township has its own. And you can kind of see the different tax years as we go forward. So tax rate 2020, we were at 78 cents. Tax rate 2021, we were at 0.7898. So still basically 78 cents. And you can see the difference in the adjusted amounts. So the total property taxes on this property in 2021 were $1,294.48. And your parents or your whoever will pay their taxes in 2 installments. You pay one in May, and then again one in November. Is this mic too hot, too loud? No? Okay. So basic property tax math. So on a home that's valued at $243,600, that's your AB. You have $111,000 worth of deductions, your mortgage, your homestead, your supplemental. So that takes the tax value down to about $132,600. The tax rate that year was $1.17 total for the county, which took it to $156,000. But taxes are based on $100 per AV, per $100 of AV. So the taxes for this house that year were $1,560. So you lop $100 off, then your tax rate's based on the per 100. So math for the district, okay? Last year in 2021, the assessed value for our district was just over $519 million. All right, so this is $500 million. So our total tax rate, 0.7898, 410,108,227 divided by 100 because it's per 100. The total levy, operations and debt service, was $4,101,082. And we could have actually raised an additional $300,000. That's $300,000 below max levy. As a board and as a district, we tried to stay with a targeted tax rate to make sure that we're well underneath our max levy. And that's the maximum amount of money that we can have. Now the levy, let's be clear, the levy isn't the complete, that isn't taxes, that's levy. And I'll explain more about that in a second. So the reason for this meeting or this budget hearing is that we have to advertise our Form 3 of a proposed budget. And if you've been here before, you will know that this proposed budget isn't really real numbers. Okay? And I'll explain that as we go forward. So our debt service, we have a proposed budget of $2,762,085. And our education fund, this is based on student enrollment. So each of you is worth about $6,500 to $7,000 depending on what you do in the district. Okay? And so that's state supported. Our education fund is supported by the number of children that attend our school district. If you lose 100 kids, you lose $60,000. If you gain 100, no. Yes. You just have to keep track of the last 10 kids. Sorry. If you lose 10 kids, that's $60,000 out the window. 100 kids is $600,000. So it's important that we have strong attendance. And our count day is actually September 17th. The second Friday after the first Tuesday in September. So our official count day to determine the number of students for first semester is coming up at the end of next week. So our set budget for the education fund is $14,450,500. Our debt service, and we're going to talk more about that later, they're generated by property taxes and miscellaneous revenue, and I'll talk about that. Operations is set at $5,850,000. Property taxes, miscellaneous revenue, and a transfer. And when they redid the budget in 2019, they made it so certain things had to come out of operations, but then we had to do a transfer from education to operations to fund those. So part of the operations budget is actually a percentage of money that's transferred every month from education to operations. That $2,100,000. So if you look at our ADM, this is how we've kind of tracked. September 17th is our count day. That number is actually about probably 10 kids high. We're probably going to be 2115, 2120. It just depends on that day. And so really, none of you can leave before the 17th. None of you can leave before the 17th. All right, so those numbers are artificially high. Okay? That we will not spend $5 million out of operations. Okay? The number for the debt service is pretty close, but the levy is wrong because of the miscellaneous revenue. So we advertise high. because we don't know what our assessed value. We know it was 519 in 2021. We think it's going to be closer to 550 this year, but it's not. It's not permanently set until later in December. Sufficient appropriations. Appropriations are your permission to spend. So even if we had $1 million in our education fund, and I couldn't spend it if I didn't have the permission to spend it, a sufficient appropriations to spend it. If I only have permission to spend up to $500,000 in the budget, it doesn't matter that I've got $1 million there. I have to get more appropriations. So we try to keep our appropriations high enough to meet all of our obligations. We have to protect our cash balances because of cash flow. Because we only get our tax payments from the county, and we get one in June and we get one in December. So we want to make sure that we have enough cash in our bank account to meet our obligations in July, August, September, October, November before we get another draw then in December or January. It also guarantees our levy. Our levy is the total amount of money that we're going to be raising. We got to make sure that we get it high enough just in case there's a state calculation error. But this is the biggie on the bottom here, number 6. So we have to set it high because we can only lower it. We can never raise it. So if I make a fundamental error in the budget and I am $2 million off, I can't do anything about it in December or January when I meet with the Department of Local Government Finance. But if I ask for $1 million too much, I can always lower it in December or January when I meet with the Department of Local Government Finance. So we always set these high in order to protect those things and to make sure that we have sufficient funds to run for the coming calendar year. So these are the maximum funds to be raised, okay? In operations, in debt service. But notice over here, the current levy is only $2 million. So we're saying we're advertising above $5 million, but really it's only going to be about this amount. We're saying we're going to do debt service around this amount. It's really going to be closer to this amount, okay? And because the reason for that is because of miscellaneous revenues, okay? So we get local income tax distribution. There's an excise tax that we get CVET, we get financial institutions tax. But we also get $825,000 a year that goes to debt service. So that will lower the amount that we need to be raised. So this will actually be closer to where we are, okay? And those miscellaneous revenues are very important. The riverboat is also incredibly important to our district. Without the $825,000 money that we receive there and some of the education funds that we receive, our taxes would be 25 to 30 cents higher. So when the riverboat came to town, golly, how many years ago now? 20 or so years ago, they set aside a huge portion of it to education to help property taxpayers in the districts and to help schools with things like technology. We use our education money that we receive from the county and from the riverboat directly for technology. So the Chromebooks that you're using every day, the majority of those initially were purchased with riverboat money. So we didn't pass that cost on to your parents. All right, so debt service. How many of you are Game of Thrones fans? Really? All right. A Lannister always pays his debts. All right? School districts always, man, that was harsh. A school district always pays its debts because if we don't meet our debts, we don't pay our mortgage. If your parents don't pay their mortgage, their credit rating gets dinged and they get kicked out of their house. All right? Over time. If we don't pay our debts, the state credit rating could be impacted by that because they back our bonds. So we could not turn on the lights, we could not pay a teacher, we could not run a bus, but we're going to pay our debt from the state level, okay? And I put this up here so everybody kind of understands our debt. Our new field house, the PE facility, it will be paid off in 2023, and here are the payments for that, okay? And usually the January and June balance. Morgan's got a special quirky loan back when we financed it. It's called a QZAB. It's kind of a weird interest-free loan. Look how it's set up though. I talked about cash flow earlier. We basically have to front load the January payment on the mortgage because of this special loan that we got. Now the interest is super low, so it's very much worth us doing that, but that's that cash flow issue. So I have to float debt service for the first 6 months of the year so I get my June payment to make up for the shortfall, because I don't get my tax payments are divided 50-50, well, really 60-40. So, and I have to make that payment in January, but the revenue to cover that payment I don't receive that money until June. So we have to float the cash flow for that. So that's kind of how much we're paying on Morgan this year. The middle school, now here's something quirky. Notice this, 0 principal payment. We're just paying interest on the middle school. Because Morgan comes off in 2024, in 2025, this payment goes to 1.3, and then when North Harrison Elementary comes off in 2027, the final payment on the middle school is 2.3 million. So what we're doing here is we have wrapped the middle school loan kind of around the Morgan and the North Harrison Elementary loan in order to be able to renovate the middle school. And you're saying, well, why would you do that? Well, if you had been a student in the middle school at that time, and for those of us that attended those meetings back here, well, Miss Book was actually a student in the building. It was in pretty bad shape. And to be brutally honest with you, we just got behind in building renovations here, and so we had to kind of squeeze the middle school in. The high school, the new high school for our community, the new high school, the 30-year mortgage was paid off several years ago. So the new high school is the only building we own outright in this moment. So that's kind of our debt service, and there's a lot of information here. We get a little bit of textbook reimbursement, we get a little bit of bank fees in there, and that's our total. So our advertised amount is right here. This will actually be what we need to raise, but remember, we won't raise that complete amount, that's the levy, because we'll have miscellaneous revenues, including the riverboat, to lower that amount, okay? But, this is important, I have to act like I'm getting none of that. I have to act like I'm not getting the riverboat, I'm not getting the financial institutions tax. I have to act like I'm getting nothing because I don't know what those amounts will be until December. So that's why I talked about the numbers kind of being squishy for the advertisement purposes, because we have to set so high. So in operations, I'll try to speed this up. You guys are glassing over on me. In operations, that's all of our buildings, our transportation, our bus replacement. We pay our maintenance and custodial out of that side of it. We are going to advertise at $1. Those are just some of the things that come up into those costs. We're paying to build for the soccer facility and the tennis courts that we had to revamp. If we got to put a roof on the building, if we've got a busted water line, if you flush an apple down the commodes at the high school and we have to bust the wall open and open up the line and bring in an outside plumber, that cost comes out of operations until we find you, and we'll bill you and your parents for that. So, sorry, let's leave that out of the newspaper. All right, so comparisons. When we advertise, look, I've been doing, I think this is my fourth budget. Mr. Thomas and I have set this up along the way. So the prior superintendent, so we advertise high, here's your actual. Advertise high, here's your actual. And since I've been doing the budget, your budget's been 71, 77, 78. The field house kind of came on in that time frame, and some other debt. And so that's why that changed there. But 78, 78, 77 is our estimated. I'm going to guess we'll be at the 77, 78 range, maybe 79 if something quirky happens and we don't get the miscellaneous revenue that we're anticipating. And then overall tax rate comparisons. I always like to put this up here because back in 2008, our tax rate was $1.41, then $1.50, and then it kind of settled in. As you see, we had a couple, before construction and renovation, we had a couple low years on the rate, and then it kind of settled in at that 70 to 78 cent range, and that's we're going to stay at that 77, 78 cent range, hopefully for the foreseeable future as a targeted rate. Again, though, the 77 cents is an estimate for this coming year because I don't know what my revenue is going to be. I don't know what my miscellaneous revenue is going to be. I'm not 100% certain what my AB is going to be. So everything's kind of set high so we can lower later. All right, so that is our budget presentation. I appreciate your time and attention. Now you know more. Just go ahead and tune me out now. I got it. But So the school's budget really is not a whole lot different than your family budget. Just add 3 zeros to the end of it, and it kind of all equals out. Dr. Hammond, if you'll turn the lights back up over there. Madam President, you go ahead in here. I'll get the screen up.
Okay, that ends the discussion, correct?
Unless someone has something else.
Nope. Oh, I was
I
going
did
to
such a
mention
thorough job.
that the number that you mentioned is the school tax rate of the property taxes, right? That's not
Right,
the
that's just
property
the school
tax.
tax rate.
Right. Okay, it is recommended that the meeting be adjourned at 7:25 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Motion's made by Mr. Engel. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Hanger. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? This meeting ends. Motion passes 5-0. On to the second.
We actually have 3 meetings that we have to do this way for statutory purposes. I promise the last one will be very, very short. 1 minute, 2 minute stops, I promise.
Okay, the regular meeting of the school board is called to order at 7:26 p.m. by me, Mrs. Adams. Let the record reflect that those present are Mrs. Gunter, Mr. Stroud, Mr. Hanger, Mr. Engel, me, Mrs. Adams, Dr. Richards, and Dr. Hatton. It is recommended that the agenda for the September 9th, 2021 regular meeting be approved as presented with additions, corrections, or deletions as recommended by the board, and there are late items.
Yes, Madam President, under 9-19-13, under late items, we'll have a resignation for Bride Price, and then a hire for Graviella Loya. I think I'm saying Graviella Loya.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept the adoption of the agenda? Motion is made by Mr. Hanger. May I have a second? Seconded by Mrs. Gunter. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. It is recommended that the minutes from the August 12, 2021 executive session and regular meeting be approved as presented. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Motion is made by Mr. Stroud. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Engel. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Under business office recommendations, approval of claims is recommended that claim numbers 844 through 984 be approved as presented.
May I have a motion to accept the claims? Motion is made by Mrs. Gunter. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Hanger. Are there any questions or discussion of these claims? If not, then all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Approval of payrolls. It's recommended that regular payrolls for September 17, 2021, October 1, 2021, and October 15, 2021 be approved for payment.
May I have a motion to approve the payrolls? Motion's made by Mr. Engel. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Stroud. Any questions or discussions here? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Under bank reconciliation, and for the students, bank reconciliation is really balancing your checkbook. You guys even have checkbooks? I didn't think so. Never mind. All right, it's recommended that the bank reconciliation from August 30th, 2021 be approved as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the bank reconciliation? Motion is made by Mr. Stroud. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Hanger. Any questions or discussions here? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
We do not have any presentations at this time, Madam President, and under participation in school board meeting, these are public comments on agenda items. Keep your comments to 3 minutes, please. State your name, and just understand that this is not a question and answer session, but an opportunity to make a statement.
Now, this is technically on the next meeting. Is that okay if I speak now about it?
What are we talking about?
The teacher compensation pay.
That's not, that is a bargainable item, and I can't even talk about it in open session without going through the bargaining process.
Can I at least speak about my comments on it? Just
Sure,
my
as long
experience?
as Mr. Zink's okay with it.
Okay. All right, so I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Kelly
Hey,
Buck.
you know what? I'm sorry. We are actually going to have, our second hearing is actually on bargaining.
It might fit into public testimony.
It would fit into public testimony at our next meeting, which
Next
is
meeting?
the
Okay.
next meeting
I'll make
after.
sure I'm following the rules here.
Yeah, you're good. If you don't mind to wait, just
I can do that, yeah.
just 5 minutes.
Okay, I can do that.
That'd be perfect. Because that actually is the right time for that. Yeah. When you said next meeting, my brain went to October.
The next one.
Yeah. Would you mind to just wait to that moment? That'll actually work out better. And be more amenable to what we're talking about. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry to be confused. All right. Personnel, resignations, and retirements. Kayla Owsley, Morgan Elementary Instructional Assistant, effective August 1st, 2021. That's a resignation. And then Haley Book, North Harrison High School softball coach, effective September 9, 2021. That is also a resignation.
May I have a motion to accept these recommendations? Motion is made by Mrs. Gunter. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Engel. Any questions or discussions here? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Under appointments, Samantha Duffy, Middle Volunteer School Boys Tennis Coach, effective August 17, 2021. Leanne Johnson, Middle School 5th and 6th grade Cheer Coach, effective August 17, 2021. Jessica Giles, Middle School 7th and 8th grade Cheer Coach, effective August 17, 2021. Tammy Bennett, Elementary Volleyball Coach, effective 8/17/2021.
May I have a motion to accept these appointments? Motion is made by Mr. Stroud. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Hanger. Any questions or discussions on this motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Under other items, this is the second reading for approval of Neola updates, volume 33, number 2, as required by statute, legislative updates, and federal law. 0112-2240, 2260.01, 2266, 3120, 4120, 4425, 4430, 5111, 5410, 6250, 7440.01, 7450, 7455, 7530.02, 8500, 8510, and 8606. And maybe next time I don't have to list all the numbers. And just as a note, this is an actual, we had a reading of those in the last meeting. Any updates to policy require 2 board meetings, and you take action at the second board meeting.
May I have a motion to accept these policies? Motion is made by Mr. Hanger. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Engel. Do we have any questions or discussion on this? Again, this is an updating of the school board policies for North Harrison that was
Yes.
done by that company, for those of you that haven't heard this before. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I'll hold off on any discussion. I'll just share my comments during the superintendent's comments. Under informational items, note that the October school board meeting will be held on October 21st. That's the week after fall break, 2021 at 7 p.m. And I'll talk more about that date here momentarily in our next meeting. Oh, late items. Resignation, Bree Price, North Harrison Elementary Instructional Assistant, effective August 1st, 2021. And we'll do that as a separate item. So, resignation of Bree Price.
May I have a motion to accept this resignation? Motion is made by Mrs. Gunter. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Stroud. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Under hires, it's Graviella Loya, North Harrison Elementary School Instructional Assistant, effective September 9, 2021.
May I have a motion to accept this hire? Motion is made by Mr. Engel. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Hanger. Any questions or discussion here? All those in favor, please say aye. Motion passes 5-0. Board member communication, we'll start with down at the bottom. The last person at the table.
Okay, I just want to welcome our seniors. Hope you all have a lot to write about tonight. I do want to continue to commend our teachers, staff, administration in getting us through these COVID times. And I publicly want to commend Shannon Murphy and all of the medical people that have helped out at the school also. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stroud?
Yeah, Dr. Richards, could you give us an update on the work being done in the elementary school where the pull-off's at? For the bus pull-off or however that's...
Well, it's an attorney. We've added the county, working with the county, and I want to commend our county commissioners and our highway department in getting on the job very quickly. But we're adding a turning lane in back at North Harrison Elementary when you're coming off of Gordon Ramsay, traveling east toward North Harrison Elementary. There is a gravel base now that's actually in use at this point. I'm not sure of the paving timeline, but the intention is to let that settle, rework it, and get it paved before winter set, before too much longer really in fall. So this is, we're also exploring a lane across the street to kind of help maybe with the left-hand turns, but the priority was to get the right-hand turn in play first because of that hill as we're coming over and the jam up in the morning. So it's actually going pretty well. We're really pleased and excited about it.
Good, yeah, 'cause anybody back there in the car rider line, morning or afternoon, that's a good situation there for those folks. Kind of piggybacking on what Christy said, I want to give my gratitude and appreciation to all of our teachers, staff, administrators, administration, bus drivers, anyone who has to deal with our new daily COVID situation. These students are very, very lucky to be able to go to school and still be in school and have the teachers there to help you throughout the whole ordeal. So, show your gratitude and appreciation for your teachers and staff and your custodians and your lunch ladies and all those folks. Just keep them in mind because they're going through the same thing that you all are too. So, again, if anybody, as far as a teacher or anybody in the community would like to speak with me, I'm always around. Just contact me and let me know. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every one of you. Thank you.
I want to say just a few words about online learning. talking to mainly our students out there, and glad you guys could be here tonight. Don't know how you feel about online learning. I'm an old teacher, about 38 years worth. But I will tell you, I enjoyed speaking in front of our students that I had for all those years. I'm not a big proponent of online work, call it what you like. Don't know how you guys feel about it. But I am proud of our school system and our teachers and our administration for being able to provide school so far this year every day. Now, that could change Monday. We might get hit by something worse than what we've had. And we might have to all mask up, or we may all have to stay home. Then we may have to go online. To me, that's the worst possible conclusion. But if we have to, of course, we have to. I'd much rather you guys would come out here, be with us, be with your friends, and enjoy the learning environment that we have provided for you, that your parents have provided for us. And so, my point in saying this is, it's been so hard for our teachers, so hard for them to prepare extra work for the online movement that most of our schools have today. And many of our local schools in the area, they may not be in school, they may be online. And some of them, and I do too. And I'm not going to mention any names, but that's their decision and our decision that we try to make for you guys to keep you as safe as possible and offer you the very best information that we can give you. But I worry about this. I worry about that generation of students who have been online for 2 years, and there are some that have. What's going to happen 4 years down the road? Are we going to have a lost generation of learners? I hope not. I hope I'm wrong, but I know at North Harrison, we're going to try to keep you in school as much as we can, at least this guy is. I just wanted to pass that along to you. Thank you for being here. And, we hope that we'll be able to continue having school as we're having it today. Thank you very much.
I hate going last. They always take the good stuff. The only thing we haven't done is bless the missionaries. Seniors, thank you all for coming out tonight. Very grateful for us all to be in person. And I agree with what my fellow school board members have said. I can assure you that we are going to do everything in our power to keep doors open, butts in a seat, in-person learning. And I want to say this. I'm very grateful for everyone that's on campus trying to keep the doors open and providing a quality education when so many other schools, counties are shut around us. I'm just very grateful, and thank you again.
Well, Mr. Engel, at least you weren't at the bottom table, Sorry about that. I would say ditto and ditto and ditto and ditto. I agree with all of them. And again, I want to really congratulate Shannon Murphy for receiving the Ken Opal Award this year. I said something to Mr. Allen. There it goes. I wish that we could give every person that works here that award this year, but it did go to the right person in my view. Thank you.
I appreciate the comment of the board. Our staff has done some very heavy lifting this year, and to be quite honest with you, so have the students in stepping up and kind of helping us out. We've stayed parent option, especially at the high school since the beginning. We've continued to monitor the numbers. The board has given updates on that information, and they also check the dashboard daily. I think it's fair to say that early, we were probably one of the first districts. We kind of got hit in the mouth early with all of this, especially in Morgan, and kind of rebounded. The high school was teetering there, and we weren't sure which way to go there. And we actually hit a pause button and tried to see what would happen the next morning, and it just seemed to begin to dovetail down very quickly. So, but I'm very appreciative of the support that we receive from our community. I count among my many blessings the faculty and staff that we have here and the way they've stepped up. Shelley Pence, one of the elementary teachers, sent out an email today that, in the quote she had in there, I want to quote her, is everybody's hard is hard. It's hard for the students. It's been hard for board members to kind of grapple with all of the state health requirements that were pushed back onto them as a body. It's been very hard for the teachers and the support staff to kind of keep a sense of normalcy and bring things forward when we really hadn't anticipated that was what was going to be this year. We really had every anticipation. And it, you know, as we move forward and hopefully as the variant begins and COVID begins to kind of continue its decline, hopefully it will in our state and our community, then, you know, maybe by the end of the second semester we'll have this meeting and you guys won't have to come back, but please come back and visit us in March or April and we'll be able to say what a great normal year we've had. I am very optimistic for our school district. I don't want anyone to think that it's been easy in any way, shape, or form, but I'm very proud of the efforts that our staff, our students, our parents have made. A lot of parents are keeping sick kids at home, and that does help us in our move forward. I encourage you folks, when you're at school, if you're in a mask, we can avoid a lot of contact tracing, and we're still encouraging that as well. So I do appreciate everyone's efforts. I don't want anyone to think it's been easy. Everyone's hard is hard. But man, I appreciate the work that everyone's done to get to this point, deeply and wholeheartedly.
It is recommended that the regular meeting of the school board be adjourned at 7:45 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Motion is made by Mr. Hanger. May I have a second? I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. My hearing is not the best. The motion was made by Mr. Engel. May I have a second? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hanger. Seconded by Mr. Hanger. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. On to the next one. This meeting is called to order at 7:46 p.m. by me, Mrs. Adams. Let the record reflect that those present are Mrs. Gunter, Mr. Stroud, Mr. Hanger, Mr. Engel, Dr. Richards, and Dr. Haddon, as well as myself.
All right, under the public hearing regarding collective bargaining, you'll note the statutory code there. I'm going to outline kind of the bargaining timeline. We will then, this book, have that opportunity for public. I'm sorry I was confused
You're fine.
earlier.
I was
When you said next meeting, I thought you meant October. I'm like, wait, what? So, this was put into place by statutory code 20-29-6-1A regarding teacher compensation and collective bargaining. And I'm supposed to outline for you that we cannot bargain until September 17th after count day. We have to upload all this into Gateway. I mentioned Gateway earlier. We have to upload that into Gateway by November 16th, or we go into impasse, which is its own legal statute and legal standard in terms of bargaining with teachers. On October 21st, we have a meeting scheduled the week after September 17th for bargaining. On October 21st, we hope to present a tentative agreement, and at that meeting, we will present a tentative agreement and actually have yet another tentative agreement hearing for information and allow public comment at that time. And then, hopefully, then at our regular November meeting, which is most likely still going to be November 11th, we would have a meeting then to ratify. We could have a special meeting to ratify after our tentative bargaining meeting, and if that is necessary, we'll alert the board and we'll advertise appropriately. But it's our intention to keep it in the timeline with our regular school board meetings to avoid yet another evening meeting for everyone. And so that's the basic timeline. You can talk beforehand, so Mr. Zink and I have met and discussed some of the parameters and some of the things in this book we'll bring up this evening, unlikely will be things that are part of our bargaining process. By statute, I guess it's fair to say statute, the school board, with me serving as a representative, meets with the teachers union as part of a collective bargaining effort in order to discuss compensation and wage-related benefits. So at this point, we will take public testimony at this hearing pursuant to Indiana Code 20-29-6-1A regarding teacher compensation and collective bargaining. As you step forward, please state your name and keep your comments at 3 minutes, please.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Well, my name is Kelly Book, and I'm a science teacher here at North Harrison. You're lucky I'm here tonight because I normally teach at my second job that I have to have at IE West, so that ended early tonight. So I am a third-generation employee at North Harrison Community School Corporation, and I've been here for 9 years. This has been my only teaching job straight out of college. I have been a student here K through 12 myself, along with many other family members. And when I was in college, this was the only place that I could imagine myself teaching. I wanted a career where I could invest back in my community that made me who I was today. So that's why I really wanted to work here. So I'm addressing the community tonight in concerns of teacher pay. So I'm worried that my career here at North Harrison is in jeopardy. After being here for 9 years, I'm only at the second level on the pay scale. So I repeat, I've been here 9 years and I'm at level 2 on the pay scale. There are 26 levels on the scale, and I have had 9 years of dedicated service here. Mathematically, I do not see how I can retire at this rate, and it's not possible. This is a big concern of mine because at this point, if I cannot retire or reach the top of the pay scale, this is no longer a career, but it's simply a job. And I want a career here, not a job. So I'm still early in my career, and even in my early first 9 years, I've still invested a lot into my career. I've invested a lot into my department and my students. I've worked very hard the past 4 years to obtain dual credit certification in my 3 different science content areas. So this was not easy, nor was it cheap to myself. I've invested a lot of personal money into this. So to accomplish this, I had to earn 18 graduate hours in biology, chemistry, and geosciences, plus my master's degree. So to do this, I also had to take coursework from 3 different universities, sometimes 2 universities during the same semester to get this done. I also had to travel abroad to earn credit, and I did that twice, which was also expensive. On top of this, I have also found the time to attend many different STEM conferences, and I've been able to present at 2 different STEM conferences over the past few years. So I've sacrificed a lot of financials and also personal time with my family and friends into my career to help out my students, because that's what I really care about the most. So what I don't understand why is that after all of this effort and dedication to this school, why am I still only paid 1 base level above a new teacher? So I don't feel valued. I feel like I've been taken advantage of. I don't know of anyone else who can teach dual credit in 3 different science content areas, so why is my pay as low as it is? This year, I've moved into a position where I'm teaching 5 different courses throughout the day, and now I'm assuming head of department duties, which includes ordering and maintaining our lab equipment, and also curriculum alignment in our department. I'm not getting extra pay for these duties, but it's something that I simply need to do in order to get the job done and for it to run smoothly, not only for my coworkers, but for my students, which is, again, who I care about the most. So I'm doing all this without extra pay, and it's just kind of frustrating. So I'm just disappointed that my pay has been kind of stagnated over the past few years. I wouldn't have been able to do this job without my parents financially supporting me. This job literally does not pay my bills, so big thank you to my mom and dad for continuing to support me in my career, because without them, I would have had to quit several years ago, because I just cannot make it with the salary. And I'm not exactly a spendy person. I'm kind of frugal. So as painful as this is for me to say, I'm having to start considering all of my options to ensure that I can continue my teaching career, because I really do like teaching. It's something I'm really passionate about. I know that I could easily find another teaching position at other local schools and make at least $10,000, maybe $15,000 more than what I'm currently making. And I know that I continue to work here At this pay rate that I'm currently at, another 20 more years or until I retire, that could be about $250,000 plus investment retirements that I'm losing out of. So that could be a whole house payment for me. So I currently cannot afford to buy a house for myself. It feels like I'm being asked to work until I die or work indefinitely, and I don't want to have either one of those as an option. I want to be able to enjoy my career without having to feel bogged down with worried about pay. I know that I am not the only one in this situation at this corporation. There's many others in a similar position, but I feel like I have the least to lose by speaking up. I know I don't have any children of my own to take care of. So if teacher pay does not get fixed on this next contract, there's going to be many of us that will feel like we are forced to leave. And I want to reiterate, it's not like I want to leave North Pearson. I don't want to leave this school, and that's why I'm speaking up here. But at some point, I do need to put my family and myself first. So I'm worried that if I or others leave, it will not be good for the students or the community. And especially now we're focusing on SEL, social emotional learning. It won't be good to have a high turnover rate of staff. We need to have staff members consistent because it's good for our students to be able to have the same people they can go back to every year and talk to, the same people that know their families, that know their problems that they had, and not have to rehash that with someone new every single year. I also know that if I have to leave, that will take with me 10 credit hours of dual credit for my students and my 3 different subjects. And I know that they'll lose out a lot on that because that's something I really worked hard for to get them to. So if I leave, those opportunities will go with me. And I don't even want to begin to imagine if a bunch of other teachers are forced to leave when we have a mass exodus of people on our hands. So again, I don't want to leave this school. I really want to keep working here. And I have a lot of years left in me. I feel like I've accomplished a lot in my 9 years here. And I'm still in my first third of my career. I still have 2/3 left to go. So I want to see where I can take this department, where we can take our students. And I have some ideas that I want to implement in place. But to do that, I have to be here. So I really want to keep working here. I want what's best for my students and my community that I live in and that I love. So I'm asking, how much are you willing to invest in your teachers? There's a national teacher shortage. We can't afford to lose any teachers. So an investment in our teachers is an investment in our students. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind as we go into our bargaining session. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate Ms. Book's comments. I know that those are comments she's also shared with Mr. Zink. I know those that some of the concerns that she's expressed here this evening, you guys are very well aware of. In fact, we talked about some of that exec session in terms of compensation. So we'll know more on Ms. Book on September 17th. We'll know what our final student count is. The state, as you know, as I shared in our budget presentation, our state dollars are determined by the number of students we have. As our student enrollment holds, it's our intent certainly to put absolutely the lion's share of any money or revenues that we get back into teacher compensation. And I think that Mr. Zink and I I think I'm speaking for both me, Mr. Zink and I and the board when we're saying we're committed to doing that. All right.
It is recommended that the meeting be adjourned at 7:57 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Motion is made by Mrs. Gunter. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Hanger. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.